Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Madison Carmouche. We're at almost that 5:30 mark this Thursday morning, and today is January 16th. We're going to go ahead and send it over to meteorologist Eric Dean for a look at your forecast this morning. Now, Eric, I've got a feeling this is just about the warmest we're going to see for a little bit.
For a while. Matter of fact, this is some of the warmest air we've seen all year so far, and we're only 16 days into the new year, as we'll make a run for highs in the upper 30s and low 40s, mid 40s as we go into the weekend. Good morning, everybody. Here's a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar as of 5:30 this morning. Seeing a little bit of snow across portions of Buchanan County, but other than that, that's it. We're starting the day off with partly cloudy skies. Temperatures across the area in the teens and 20s, upper 20s towards Pikeville as well as Prestonsburg. Jackson's at 26, 28 in Hazard, 19 from Boonville down to Manchester, 19 in Williamsburg, 26 in Monticello. Now you factor in that feels like temperature with that light southwesterly wind. The feels like temperature and the ambient temperature maybe a degree off here and there, but pretty much on par with each other. Now coming up in the next check weather, near normal temperatures. They are back for a limited time. Details in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Madison.
All right, Eric, thank you. One Pike County man has been deemed incompetent to stand trial after police say he shot 100 rounds at officers during a 2023 standoff. WYMT's Buddy Forbes has the latest.
On December 14, 2023, first responders in Pike County attempted to serve a warrant on Robin Bentley, showing up to a surprise at his Robinson Creek home.
He didn't come to the door, refused to come to the door, and they were informed that there's possibly another person inside the residence that could be in danger.
Officials say deputies with the Pike County Sheriff's Department and troopers with the Kentucky State Police soon found themselves under fire.
The defendant started firing at them out the windows of his home and fired over 100 rounds over an hour and a half in the standoff.
But after nearly 2 hours, Commonwealth's attorney Bill Sloan says Bentley gave up.
But the deputies showed great patience and to wait him out, and he did finally surrender, so no one was injured in this, thankfully.
Since early last year, his case has been on hold, awaiting a mental competency assessment, which was brought before a judge Tuesday.
Does he understand the nature and the consequences of the charges against him? And it's two-pronged, and then the other one is, can he rationally participate and assist his counsel in his defense?
Judge Howard Keith Hall heard the findings from mental health experts who say Bentley is not competent to stand trial, referencing his diagnoses for bipolar disorder and Parkinson's disease, and suggesting a facility to find care for his mental health and medical needs. The judge agreed, ruling Bentley incompetent, and the Commonwealth filed a petition for involuntary hospitalization.
And that's when the criminal prosecution basically ends and we go into a different procedure.
Sloan says the next court hearing will determine how they move forward. In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
A hearing regarding the request to make Bentley involuntarily committed is not scheduled yet. Now an update on a story that was breaking earlier this week. The Williamsburg Police Department continues to investigate a murder at the Mount Morgan Apartments. Police say 60-year-old Richard Cox died Tuesday afternoon after an argument over dogs with 41-year-old Brian Randall. Cox's stepdaughter, Jenny Tigg, says Cox was walking her sister's dog on a leash when Randall's unleashed dog approached them. Things escalated, and she says Randall started beating Cox and the dog. When police arrived, they found Cox unresponsive. Tigg says she and her family are devastated.
He was in great physical condition. He had no health problems at all. He would take the shirt off his back and hand it to you just out of the kindness of his heart. He was just good. He was just good.
Randall is charged with murder and is being held in the Whitley County Detention Center without bond. An autopsy for Cox is scheduled for today. In Pike County, police are searching for a man accused of trespassing on multiple properties. Here is a picture of that man. Police say they received several complaints about the man trespassing on properties in the Scott Avenue area. If you have any information, you can call Pikeville Police at 606-437-5111. In Knott County, police are investigating a burglary after items were stolen out of a classroom. Officials say the incident happened during the winter break at Knott County Central High School. They say more than $12,000 worth of equipment was taken from the agriculture department classroom, including power tools and electronics. If you have any information about this, you can contact KSP at 606-435-6069. Officials with the Corbin Police Department are urging those living in the area to secure their belongings. Police say they are investigating a series of incidents where a group of likely minors are targeting unlocked car doors and easily accessible storage areas. The incidents were reported during the night on Maple Lane, 7th Street, and residential areas near the Pepsi plant. Patrols have been increased as a result of the incidents. Law enforcement in Perry County wants to alert folks about a phone scam going around. Police say someone is calling saying they are a Sergeant Glenn in an attempt to extort money from people. The call is reportedly telling people they need to make a payment after missing a court date. Police say if you get this call, to hang up the phone immediately. Kentucky Attorney General Russell Coleman has unveiled Kentucky's first ever toolkit to handle strangulation cases. Coleman says the manual, which covers how to handle both medical and prosecutorial responses in strangulation, is one of the first of its kind in the country and something he hopes can be a framework to be used in other states.
It is so nice for Kentucky to lead. It is so nice. We end up on the bottom so oftentimes. A list we want to be on the top of, and on the top of the list we want to be on the bottom of.
Medical professionals say the manual's guidelines for strangulation evaluation will help identify both visible and non-visible signs of abuse. A major fire in downtown Middlesboro yesterday afternoon destroyed the storage building for Cardwell Furniture on the corner of 20th Street and Cumberland Avenue. Nobody was hurt, but the historic building partially collapsed. WYMT's Amelia Lee was in Bell County yesterday, where she spoke with city officials about the impact of this fire.
Folks in Middlesboro are in shock after a community staple went up in flames on Tuesday.
It was the first JCPenney's in the state. It's been a lot of things that hold a lot of memories for our community.
Celia Schaffner says just seconds after seeing smoke, the Middlesboro Fire Department was at the scene.
The fire started up high on the 3rd floor, and within just a matter of an hour or so, the facade of the building collapsed, and it was absolutely devastating to watch.
Firefighters are continuing to suppress and contain the fire that you can see behind me since around 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. Now, the fire chief tells me if they had gotten there any later, things could have taken a turn for the worse.
This building could have very well been a block burner. It could have turned into, we could have lost a half of a city block to a whole city block.
The Middlesboro Fire Department did not work alone. Mutual aid response came from surrounding areas, getting the fire under control within an hour.
We was blessed. The Lord was looking over us and helped us keep it right here.
People are thinking of the Cardwell family, who lost their building and everything in it.
They've been in Middlesboro longer than I've been alive, and probably 3 or 4 of my lifetimes. You know, and it's just, if you hear something with one of those last standing true Middlesboro businesses and part of the heritage of our city, losing something like that, it's just heartbreaking.
The cause of the fire has not been released. In Middlesboro, Amelia Lee, WYMT Mountain News.
Officials say some downtown roads will stay closed for the next 2 days at least, but they say most downtown businesses are still open, so are most of the sidewalks. The CDC reports respiratory illness activity is high throughout the country, and it is especially high here in Kentucky. According to the CDC, Kentucky is one of 5 states that is seeing a very high amount of acute respiratory illnesses. This compared to the majority of other states that are seeing a high amount. Dr. Lee Dossett with Baptist Health Lexington says this could mean Kentucky hit its peak earlier than other states.
Our ER has definitely seen increased volume that may be related to some of these respiratory viruses, but it's not overwhelming. We still have plenty of capacity to take care of patients.
Another local physician says the flu seems to be the most prevalent right now. He says vaccines are the best prevention, but there are other things you can do, including washing your hands, covering your mouth when you cough, and teach your kids to do the same. A Johnson County native has been selected as the new chair of the Veterans Committee in the Kentucky House. Representative Bobby McCool of Van Leer was picked as the new chair of the Kentucky House Veterans, Military Affairs, and Public Protection Committee. In a statement, McCool says he will advocate for policies that strengthen Kentucky and make it a more military-friendly state. A year-long celebration of the 250th anniversary of Marine Corps kicked off in Frankfort. Kentucky Marines gathered yesterday afternoon in the rotunda of the Kentucky State Capitol. Following the presentation of the colors, there was a celebration of legendary Marines from Kentucky.
What we say is honor, courage, and commitment in the Marine Corps. Those values transcend your time in the military. You take them away from your time in the Marine Corps, back home to your community.
The Marine Corps was founded on November 10th, 1775 in Philadelphia. There are special events planned throughout 2025 to commemorate contributions legendary Kentuckians made to Marine Corps history. Still to come, Coors Light is taking a mistake in stride as the company claims it had a case of the Mondays.
And in the world of weather, Monday is going to be pretty cold. Details in the first order forecast in a few minutes.